Well, if you're an economist, you would advise China, your opponent is doing these things, imposing tariffs. He may think that it costs China, but actually it's also costing his own economy. Just stay calm and carry on. Don't do anything. Because if you do something, it will also hurt yourself. But politically, that's not possible. So when somebody does this to you, politically, even if he's your best friend, you have to do something to show that you have taken note that he has done this to you. And you have to respond. Even the Canadians are responding, or talking about responding. So therefore, you have tit for tat, and therefore you go down the road. And it's not just tariffs. You have restrictions on exports. You have restrictions on investments. Basically, you are bifurcating and you are dividing. And that way leads to a lot of trouble. The world hasn't seen it since the war, therefore maybe doesn't remember or doesn't quite feel what it is like. But it happened before the war. In the 1930s, when the economies went into a depression, there was a Smoot-Hawley Act. The tariffs, very high tariffs in the US, it triggered similar high barriers in the other developed countries. World trade plummeted. It deepened the recession. It caused great hardship in many countries, and it contributed to the political pressures and the tensions between countries, which eventually led to the Second World War. And people may have forgotten this, but in the Pacific, the war started with the attack on Pearl Harbor by Japan. What immediately preceded the attack on Pearl Harbor? It was a US embargo on Japan of petroleum and rubber, vital raw materials, and the Japanese started the Pacific War to secure those raw materials from Southeast Asia. Rubber and tin from Malaysia, petroleum products from Dutch East Indies in those days, now Indonesia. So that way leads to bad outcomes. In 1985, Mr. Lee Hsien Loong was invited to address the US Congress joint sessions, and he made a speech on this theme. Those were different days. Ronald Reagan was the president, and he got a standing ovation. The mood has changed. The times have changed. Now you're not talking about the US versus Japan, you're talking about two nuclear powers. And so you may or may not go all the way to the end of the road. And hopefully somewhere before the end of the road, you will find an off-ramp and a way out which will enable us to stop short of the maximum damage to one another. But it will take time, and it will take changes in mindsets, and I think, meanwhile, we'll just have to fasten our seatbelts.
Yes, and I know that some people are saying, give this 2 years, and maybe with the midterm elections in the United States, that will help stabilize something.
I don't know. I do not put this as personal predilections or prejudices. Certainly personal views of top leaders make a difference. But I think there's a deep view which has formed in countries that the ideal of the world is flat. That we just do business with one another, and it's okay if you sell me all my food and I sell you all your cars and all your solar panels. That is fine. I think now you will ask, what if you stop selling me some of my food? And I will ask, what if one day I need to convert my car line into a armored vehicle line? And how do I do that? So I think there is a fundamental concern that security, that resilience must be weighted more heavily and perhaps given priority over prosperity and interdependence. And therefore, I don't think we will go back to the days when countries pushed ideally for a free trade area in the Asia-Pacific, as we expressed it in one of the APEC declarations in Bogor around 1990. But I hope that it will not remain a country where it's a law of the jungle, where what I say is what I do is what I wish to do, and I can do what I like, and nobody can stop me because I say this is national security and therefore it's paramount. Even if it is national security, I don't want to spend myself to bankruptcy, and you don't want to spend yourself to bankruptcy. And in the fields of arms control, we may be opponents, but you still have arms limitation, you still have treaties to keep the competition within limits and prevent things from really blowing up. And I think in trade too, we need to have some rules like that.